Hello, this is Scott Leopold with Cooperative Strategies, and this is the Facility Master Planning Scenarios presentation for District 4. This was presented to the community on March 26th at Ribault High School. I will now turn it over to Dr. Green for a brief introduction video.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Diana Green, Superintendent for Duval County Public Schools. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I want to welcome you and encourage your active participation. Our consultants recently completed a study of each building to evaluate its condition. This Facilities Condition Index report was shared at community meetings throughout the district. Now we are moving into phase 2 of this process, shifting the conversation from past and present to the future. This evening and continuing over the next few weeks, our consultant will share and discuss a set of ideas designed to provide our students with an outstanding educational environment. Because the draft plan involves almost every one of our schools, we will be rolling out segments of the plan of proposed scenarios in each of the 7 school board member districts. You'll be able to see the entire plan outlined in a couple of weeks. I want to reiterate that what is being presented are the consultant's recommendations, and these recommendations are over a 10-year period. We need your input as we work through the details and develop a final plan. Ultimately, I will present the board with a very bold portrait of our future, a future in which public education is firmly established as a tremendous asset for living and learning in Duval County. Since each presentation is by school board member district, you'll only see a segment of the entire plan. I want to point out district level highlights from the draft scenarios, which include construction of 30 new schools as either replacements on site or on new sites. 17 consolidations impacting 42 schools, with children from those schools attending new or renovated school buildings. Any buildings no longer in use as a result of the consolidations would be demolished and the land sold to prevent former schools from becoming future blight. Security upgrades at all schools and removal of the majority of portables from schools across the district. Cutting more than 5,000 student seats from the district's inventory and improving the district's facility utilization rate. I want to re-emphasize that this is a bold and long-term plan over a 10-year period. That's why your input is so important. If you like what you hear, tell us on the survey. If you have concerns, tell us that too. Your input will help us refine this plan and help me make the best possible recommendation to the school board. Thanks again for being here, and I look forward to hearing your input on these initial proposals.
Hello, I am Scott Leopold with Cooperative Strategies, and I will be taking you through the rest of this presentation. I would like to begin by providing some more detail and add some additional points to what Dr. Green has previously mentioned. This plan constructs 30 new schools through a combination of on-site replacements and new sites. This plan also upgrades school security at all facilities. This plan also removes the majority of portables from every campus. This plan performs major repairs to all facilities that are retained. The building age of all the schools in the district would be reduced by a total of 13 years, so the average age would go from 44 years old down to 31 years old. This plan reduces a net of more than 5,000 total seats. This plan performs 17 consolidation packages into new or renovated schools. This impacts 42 current schools that would go into either replacement facilities on their current site, renovations or new facilities or renovated facilities at new locations. This plan would also save millions in annual operational revenue. This plan would increase school utilization from 82 to 86%. This would also provide 27% of the square footage in the district with new buildings. So nearly a fifth of all square footage in Duval County would be new after this plan were to be implemented. And finally, this plan would remove $1.07 billion in backlogged repairs. The total cost to implement this plan would be $1.95 billion. That would be $922 million in improvement, renovations, and additions, and $1.03 billion in new construction. I now would like to go through some terminology that you'll see prevalent throughout this presentation. Enrollment. Enrollment is the number of students attending a school. For planning purposes, we used a 5-year enrollment projection to the 2023-24 school year for each school. Capacity. This is the number of students a campus can hold. It is defined by the state of Florida and does include portables. FISH, or the Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses. This is the state standard that defines school capacity. Utilization is the percentage that is calculated by dividing enrollment by capacity. Facility Condition Index, or FCI. This is the percentage that is calculated by dividing the identified physical deficiencies of a building by its total replacement cost. Consolidation. This is the action of combining 2 or more schools into one campus. This may result in 1 or more schools being vacated. Swing space. In some cases, some vacated campuses may be retained for use as swing space to serve as temporary locations for whole schools to occupy while their schools are being renovated or replaced. This slide provides some more detail on our Facility Condition Index. Again, the FCI is the percentage of the repair costs divided by the total replacement costs of a building. If a facility has a FCI of less than 5%, that is some of the best condition that we have in the county. If the FCI is greater than 65%, that facility would be a candidate for replacement. This slide and the following 2 slides just give us an example of what the utilization looks like at the district-wide level. This map shows every elementary boundary color-coded by its utilization, and this does include portables. So in the dark blues, we have the facilities that are less than 75% utilized, and that includes 43 campuses. We have 3 campuses at the elementary level that are greater than 105% utilized. It should be noted that this map only shows boundaries and their associated utilization, but there are additional magnet schools that may be over or underutilized that are reflected in our data but aren't shown on the map because they don't have boundaries. This slide shows the middle schools. We have 5 campuses that are less than 75% utilized, and then 2 campuses that are more than 105% utilized. And finally, here's the high school map. We have 4 campuses that are less than 75% utilized, and we have 1 campus that is greater than 105% utilized. This slide shows our planned funding for all of these scenarios combined. This is the $1.95 billion broken out by board member district. As you can see, District 4 and District 5 account for nearly 45% of the total allocation. This is because Districts 4 and 5 have the most need. They have the most schools that are the oldest. Other districts like District 1 and District 7, District 2 to an extent, have less of an allocation because they have newer facilities that don't have as much need as Districts 4, 5, and even 3.
I will now begin to go through the detailed scenarios for District 4. The map on the left shows all of the schools in District 4. It should be noted that boundaries do cross over into some other board districts. The background shaded boundaries denote elementary zones. The orange outlines are middle school zones. The purple outlines are high school zones. And the blue outlines denote board member districts. Overall, this plan constructs 5 new replacement schools. Again, security is upgraded at all school facilities that are retained. The average building age is reduced by 18 years, from 47 years old, which is the current age, down to 29. 23% of District 4 would be furnished with brand new school buildings, and that's based on square footage. Major repairs would be conducted at all school facilities that are retained. We would remove the vast majority of portables. There is an overall reduction of 1,748 seats. There are 7 different consolidation packages involving 17 schools, and that's on both sides of that equation. Both the schools that are being replaced or renovated and consolidated into, and the schools that are being vacated. This is not a reduction of 17 schools. School utilization increases from 79% up to 85%. And a total of $302 million in backlogged repairs is removed. The total cost for these scenarios is $463 million, with $238 million in improvements and renovations and $225 million in new construction and additions. I will now detail the replacements, renovations, and additions. This only highlights those specific schools that are receiving replacements, renovations, and additions. We'll detail consolidations on the following slides, and we'll also detail every single school in the district on the last slide of the presentation. Biscayne Elementary School receives a 12 classroom addition. Dinsmore Elementary is a renovation. Sally Mathis is a renovation. Garden City is a replacement on site while balancing enrollment with a new school at Pine Estates. Long Branch would be vacated and consolidated into a new K-8 at Gilbert, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The existing Long Branch facility would be renovated for the R.L. Brown program to move into. North Shore Elementary School would receive a minor renovation, consolidating Lake Forest and St. Clair Evans Elementary Schools. Pine Estates, as mentioned before, is a replacement on site. This would allow Highlands Elementary to be consolidated into it, and we would also balance enrollment with the new Pine Estates and the new Garden City. Again, Matthew Gilbert is a replacement on site as a new K-8 facility, consolidating John Love, Long Branch, and Brentwood. Kirby Smith is a replacement on site. I want to be very clear that we understand some facilities will have historical significance and we may have some architectural components that may need to be retained. We're allocating dollars in these plans for full replacements, and if it ends up being some sort of renovation, we just want to make sure that we have those full replacement dollars in there should they be needed. Northwestern Middle School is a renovation, a 12 classroom addition, and a conversion to a K-5 facility. The middle school program would consolidate into William Raines High School's at 612. This would allow Rufus Payne, Carter Woodson, and George Washington Carver Elementary Schools, all from District 5, to consolidate into Northwestern. And again, Northwestern would be a K-5 school. John L. Cookman would be a renovation and a 6 classroom addition. First Coast High School would be a 24 classroom addition. Andrew Jackson High School would be a modernization. Ribault High School would be a replacement on site as a 612, which would consolidate Ribault Middle School. Stanton would be a 12 classroom addition, and Rutherford would be a renovation. One quick note about the additions, there are quite a few in this area. In a lot of cases, these addition projects are intended to replace portable pods or portable campuses that are there now that may have 6, 8, 10, 12 portables on there, to replace them with one single contiguous building. And so these are portable replacements that don't necessarily have a big impact on overall capacity. And just for reference over here, we have Rutledge Pearson, which is in District 5. This has some implications in here because Henry Kite would consolidate into the new school at Rutledge Pearson. And again, as mentioned before, William Raines High School would be converted to a 612, which would allow Northwestern to consolidate into it. Here's a little more detail on the consolidations. Again, Brentwood, Long Branch, and John Love would all consolidate into a new K-8 facility at the Gilbert site. Long Branch would be renovated for R.L. Brown to be moved into. And then just below you see R.L. Brown would move into that Long Branch facility. Highlands would consolidate into Pine Estates. St. Clair Evans, Lake Forest into the renovated North Shore. Henry Kite Elementary consolidated into the new K-5 at Rutledge Pearson. Northwestern Middle School, again, would consolidate into Raines, rebuilt as a 612. Ribault Middle School would consolidate into Ribault High School as a 612. New facility, and I'll detail what these facilities could look like in the next slide. Mount Hermon would actually split. The current site would be vacated, and we would construct a new ESE center on Reynolds Lane, which is part of District 5. And a new ESE center at Windy Hill, which is part of District 3. And so we'd have those services on the east side and the west side of the river. So this is a sample of what a 612 layout could be. This is in no way a recommendation or a proposal for what would happen at Ribault or Raines or any of the schools we're talking about for 612s. This is just to kind of give you a visual idea of what these sites could look like. So this is Ronald McNair Junior High and Mae Jemison High School in Huntsville, Alabama. This is the junior high portion of the facility. On this side, as you can see, they're really completely separate buildings. There is a breezeway that connects the kitchens together that students wouldn't even have access. This is a breezeway so that all the food can be prepared in the kitchen that's in the high school side, and then we have a serving line and a little bit of prep area in the junior high or 6-8 side. But there are separate classroom cores, separate gymnasiums, separate cafeteria for the middle school, even a separate administration suite. There's an outdoor overhang here, and then on the left side you have the security and the entrance to the middle school, and on the right side is to the high school. But these campuses also have separate bus loops. And so, again, these are completely separate facilities. Looking over at the high school, here's the dedicated cafeteria, dedicated admin suite, classroom core spaces. We have an auditorium, we have an auxiliary gym, and a competition gym. And so it's just very important to realize that we get the efficiencies of having two schools on the same site from a utilities and operational standpoint. But from a student life point of view, we don't have 6th graders intermingling with high school students or even 7th graders or 8th graders. The only situation where that may be the case is if you have a middle school student that is very advanced and wants to take high school level math or something like that. And they could be escorted into the high school building and that kind of thing throughout the day if that's necessary. But these function as completely separate facilities with separate administrations, even separate bus loops and bus routes at some point. So all of that is up for discussion, but this is just to kind of give you an idea of what that sample 612 layout could look like. This slide and the following two slides give us all the information that we're talking about for every school in District 4. We show our school name, our 5-year FCI, and so again, that's the Facility Condition Index, our 5-year utilization, and so this is the utilization if we don't make any changes. We show our deficiency cost, our identified FCI issues, what our renovation costs would be, our new construction cost, total cost, and our resulting utilization. So looking at Biscayne, it has an FCI of 25.35%. It would be 118% utilized in 5 years if we don't make any changes. We're going to address its FCI issues to wipe this deficiency out and add a 12 classroom addition. And so here's our demolition costs for the existing portables and the addition. And then we show our renovation costs in there as well. And here's our new construction costs for a total of $9.6 million. And then after we had those 12 classrooms on there as an addition, we're down to 87% utilization. And so we show that information for all of these slides. And then all these sheets are available on the project website that you can download in a PDF version if you want to focus on them. Okay, and this is the same data for the middle schools, the high schools, and the other schools that we have here. Again, we show our FCI, current utilization, deficiency cost, action, renovation, demolition costs, and then resulting utilization. Here we show our replacement schools, and so you can see we don't show utilization or a 5-year FCI because they're new. We show resulting utilization because this shows our combined enrollment of some of the 612s if we combine them with the new capacity along with the total costs. And then we've also included data from the schools that are in District 5 that have implications in District 4. So that concludes our presentation. I want to thank you for taking the time to view this online. And we have the survey available as well. Everything is available on the project website. So if you saw this shared on Facebook or something, the URL to the website is http://bit.ly/DCPS FMP, and all the content can be found on there. One thing I just wanted to reiterate is that this is a conceptual plan. It is not phased out and timed because, again, it is completely dependent on an additional funding source. And so if you have questions about, well, when is all this going to happen and what order, we don't know yet. Again, it is all completely dependent on funding. Once that funding source is identified, we can then go through and look at segmenting and phasing this out. Likely there will be a bond or a funding oversight committee that would oversee this and determine what that prioritization is. So again, thank you for taking the time to view this presentation. The survey will remain active until midnight on April 2nd. Thank you.